We've made it. It's really
Made it.
You are the
last one, right?
Fortunate last one. So thank you very much.
Okay, it's over.
Thanks for hanging in here with us. So Walmart. I love Walmart, by the way. Let me just put that out there. As a New Yorker, I think I have one Walmart in Brooklyn, and I never get there. But whenever I am in a town with a Walmart, I go because I feel like I'm getting America.
That's right.
A little taste of it. But you live in the digital part of it, so you couldn't be farther away from Bentonville, Arkansas. You're right here. You actually grew up, went to school here at San Jose State,
right.
eBay and all that, and the dot-com bubble experience. So just briefly, like walk us through like what Walmart's labs and I guess just the digital piece of it is, like the scope and the scale and how many people and what.
Yeah, sure. Everybody knows Walmart, and if you grew up on the coast, sometimes they're not quite as much as the people in the Midwest and that sort of thing. It's a very large company. 260 million customers walk through a Walmart store every week around the world. We have 11,000 stores. We have 2.2 million associates. I often will start my speech off talking about how large of an organization we are, but after hearing the $80 billion government funding discussions, I'm a little bit smaller than that. It is, my team is, as you mentioned, a Silicon Valley team, Walmart Labs. Walmart Labs has actually been in Silicon Valley for 15 years. We just didn't talk about it until about 5 years ago when we really rebooted the organization and what we thought about it. So we really transformed the way we thought about e-commerce as we did that, and acquired 15 companies and really changed the way we thought about technology as an innovative part of the business model. And so I've been running that team for about 4.5 years, and it's been you really can't tell the difference between the old and the new. And really, we get folks from all over the valley that come work for us, and they really do want to work on, as we talked about earlier, really hard problems, massive scale, a very urgent environment where millions of people can actually see them every day.
So there's an essential difference between you and the other guys. I'm thinking Amazon. There's other competitors, but. Sure. Digitally, everyone talks about Amazon. So just a challenge, an opportunity perhaps. During Meg's talk here, I was on my phone. I need a Bluetooth speaker for my office.
Right.
So, and you showed me the app earlier. I downloaded the Walmart app, set up an account, found the speaker. It's like a directory, like through electronics, then speakers, and found the speaker, and selected it, put it in my cart, picked the shipment. It's coming to me at work.
Right.
That's great. I checked the price. It was like pretty good, like $49, including shipping. So I opened up the Amazon app. Sorry, I have to do this to you.
Bring it on.
It's I think it's $29 free shipping. It comes tomorrow. So there's like an essential challenge there that either you're going to take on head on, or maybe wisely, shrewdly go around them, or there's got to be a different strategy than, because that's a monster to take on right there. The value prop there.
Yeah, I think the value prop is very much, people are talking about the instant community at this point, or instant opportunity. So when you think about the work we have, almost 2/3 of Americans live within 5 miles of a Walmart, which is a shocking number. The question is, how do you build that digital experience? And what we're finding in things like grocery home shopping and even in the sort of instant gratification for the DoorDashes and some of the other world, people are still having, at least with Walmart, they want to do what you just did, except they want to pick it up in the store, and they'll go by in their convenience and pick it up. And we see this a lot with really busy moms and folks that don't have a really set schedule. They'll buy their groceries online, they'll set it for pickup, and then they'll swing by. And this is where Walmart Labs comes into play. And actually, we'll talk a little bit about the CIO and the CTO differences. But I have built a tool that integrates when I know when you've arrived in the parking lot, and I can send a notice to the associate to come grab the goods and bring it out to your car, so you're only waiting 1 minute in the parking lot. And so it's really just a drive-by. And if you're only 5 miles away, then you can come by when it's ever convenient. Your kid was 10 minutes late to from the soccer game, you don't have to worry about it. And our customers love it. The Net Promoter Score on these apps are like 99%. Customers really resonate and love it.
So they don't want stuff coming to their house?
They do, and we do. Obviously, Walmart.com is a huge business, and we run around the globe. It's about $15 billion, and so we're dramatically doing it. But there's something about instant gratification. A lot of folks, the websites that we run in Asda, for example, which is the grocery store in the UK that we own, about 40% of the folks who buy online and pick up, they actually park the cart and go in and select more items when they get there. And so it's all about how do you make it more convenient for customers as you deal with this.
So do you feel like as a digital operation, you are, I mean, what's the relationship to the physical? Is you see it as purely an asset and a strength, or is it sometimes, I keep asking the same question over and over
it's a great question.
Or is it sometimes an impediment to something else?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I have a really tight relationship with the CIO of the company. She runs the POS system and the warehouse management systems and the back office and all these sorts of big parts, 2 million person payroll system and things like that. Those relationships are getting grayer. She runs the POS system, but I have a POS in my pocket at this point. If I'm doing the pay, we just developed a capability called Walmart Pay. Effectively, it's very similar to the way Starbucks works. You walk up to the register, it displays a QR code, you flash it, and you're off. You don't have to touch the register again. So which part of that is the POS system and which part is not? I have all the security regulations and the integration with credit cards, and I'm making a direct connection to the physical device there. And so we have to have a much different relationship. And as you can imagine, these systems weren't originally developed for internet traffic real-time systems. So, and at our scale, you're talking about a real-time transaction system. I need that data back in my system on the e-commerce side in milliseconds so that I can send an e-receipt or allow people to do returns and these sorts of things. So over the last 3 years, we've really been building a tighter and tighter relationship between the two organizations.
So what's been the benefit, I guess, and the products that are in the pipeline that are coming out of knowing more about the customer that was not known before?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mentioned grocery home shopping. We also developed a product called Savings Catcher, which is our customers, again, love. Our mission is to save people money so they can live better. We built a program called Savings Catcher, which essentially is you use your mobile device to scan your receipt, and then for the next 72 hours, we will look at all the local competitors and see if anybody put something on sale. And if we do find somebody, most of the time we're the cheapest, as you can imagine. But if we do happen to have somebody on sale, we'll give that money back into your digital account automatically. And then when you use Walmart Pay, the next time it actually takes that off. If you want to use gift cards automatically, it integrates directly. And so people who are coupon clippers or flyer shoppers and that sort of thing really love this kind of experience. And this is the kind of experience that we want our customers to have with Walmart. They trust us to come be their local neighborhood market with their groceries for their kids, and we want to build savings applications that give them really trusted relationships with us.
Okay. And how much adoption has there been on the mobile pay, the Walmart Pay? Because I know Apple Pay is splashy, gotten a lot of press, but there hasn't been a whole lot of usage of it. Every time I go to a store, it doesn't work. It's like, okay, can I use it?
I've been testing it a lot lately. Walmart Pay has just rolled out, so we rolled it out in about 50 stores right now. And this is one great part about Walmart is we do tons of tests, and we can do 50 store pilots in no time. So we've got about 50 stores out right now, and we'll be rolling it out over the summer. Customers again love it, and actually it's almost so fast that people are sort of confused. Did it really work and that sort of thing? But after you use it the sort of second or third time, it's great. And like I said, if you can see it integrating in with things like with e-receipts and easy returns and things like that, you'll see lots more capabilities to help it be really convenient for our customers.
But are you going to allow others to have access to the platform, like Apple Pay, Android Pay, that kind of thing?
Yes, we've announced it. All the detail. The first one is currency, and that piece will be integrating into Walmart Pay, and then we'll be adding capabilities as we go along. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of discussion about who should we go first and that sort of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how do those discussions go? I mean, because it's a giant opportunity for whoever wants it.
Yes.
And how do you decide whether to say yes or no?
Yeah, luckily it's always a combination of technology and business decisions. So I help out on the negotiations, but I'm not the decision maker. So I'll let the treasury team handle that.
Okay. Well, because I can imagine it's much more makes more sense to drive people towards Walmart Pay because
Yeah, absolutely.
capture the info.
And like I said, again, we have a tight relationship with our customers to the extent we can help them get through the transaction a little bit faster. That's the key relationship we're trying to build.
Okay. Moving on to the other side of your job, which is the cloud. Yeah. Again, a lot of posturing going on. There was I thought it was an amazing announcement that Walmart was going to open source. Was it OneOps?
Yeah, OneOps, our cloud technology platform.
Which is explain it and explain how it is and isn't a shot across the bow at Amazon.
Well, I think what OneOps is essentially, we had worked with a small company called OneOps about 2.5 years ago, some folks that we knew from ex-eBay days, and they had built essentially this application lifecycle management tool that would allow you to manage your app all the way through a cloud deployment. It happened to be that once you did that, once you set up a configuration to say, what I need in the dev environment is access to this database and a Cloudera integration and a Java stack, I can just make a configuration and it'll automatically deploy it there. And then when you move it to staging, you actually don't need to tell, the engineer doesn't have to know that staging has a different setup and production doesn't have a different setup. So it's really an entire lifecycle management tool. And what happened after that is we realized that it could make us completely cloud agnostic. And so we can deploy into Rackspace or into an internal cloud or into one of another cloud. We just made a connection to Azure. And that can be seamless to the developer. They don't have to know, and we can move them back and forth. Because what we talked about the Cloud Summit, I mean, people are definitely concerned about cloud lock-in and how to deal with that. And so Walmart is a bursty type of compute cycle. So originally, I was very interested in saying, in November and December, we need about 10 times more equipment than I need in March. And so wouldn't it be great if I could rent that equipment, at least from the beginning, and then I can come back down after Black Friday and all that goes on. And so that's allowed us to do that. And the other thing it's allowed us to do is be really comfortable with understanding where things are. We used to, like many retailers, we would have these freeze periods during November, and we'd have 0 deployments in November because we're so concerned about Black Friday. Yeah. This last November, we did 30,000 deployments in that month. And so it just changes the way you are dealing with your comfort level of releasing code and the ability to make changes in the system overall.
So it's just another day, Black Friday. So what is your cloud? Are you already in the public cloud, or it's all?
So we do have a number of capabilities that we run in the public cloud. They're more sort of semi-private clouds, if you know what I mean. We have some public cloud capabilities, but we don't typically burst them up and down. We've open sourced the OneOps capability, which is this cloud management tool, and we have a number of companies that are talking to us about helping out and integrating it directly in with their cloud, or they want to build an adapter for their piece of technology, because this can deploy databases or network stacks or load balancing capabilities, and everybody wants their piece of that into the OneOps stack.
So you open sourced it. Has anybody actually downloaded it and started using it?
Yeah, I didn't look at the numbers today, but well, my brother works at GoDaddy, and he's been talking about that. And I got a number of folks and before we open sourced it, we went around and asked a number of CTO friends of mine about it. Several friends of mine that are very interested. I don't know anybody who put it in production yet, but it's just been open source for about 4 weeks.
But it's going to work for anybody? It's not like you customized it and it's going to look like
That's right.
Asterisks everywhere?
Nope, it's just wide open. Go out to GitHub and you can take a look.
So what was the reaction from Seattle? Were they like, scared? And
there was a lot of initial news stories about, what we were trying to do. And in the end, it's great for us in order to work with many cloud providers and to have extensions to other capabilities in that. So it wasn't necessarily for that. It was for our own use. And frankly, I was talking earlier at the earlier summit about how do you attract developers that want to come work for your company. And one of them is to take technology like this, which may be a little bit core here. We had a long discussion about what's secret sauce, what's not secret sauce. But engineers that work on it, especially ones that are working working on sort of back office systems and things like that, they want their capabilities to be seen by the public in the world too. So it really helps us attract. We've used, since Walmart Labs has been founded, we've used a ton of open source capabilities, and we wanted to give back something meaningful. We did a lot of work on some early JavaScript frameworks and some other little open source projects. We wanted to give something back that was very meaty to the community.
Okay, cool. So I want to talk about innovation at your scale. Benioff talked about it a little bit about creating space for people and the beginner's mind. Do you meditate at all?
No, I don't actually. I downloaded the apps that somebody yelled off about it, so I'll have to check that out when I get home.
But I guess how do you make your shop a cool shop? I mean, if I'm coming out of Stanford, computer science, like Google, Walmart,
It's super important. And as a matter of fact, the biggest problem we have is dealing with people consideration in that first spot. As a matter of fact, when people come and they have an offer from Google and Facebook and God knows who else, and Walmart, we actually win 70% of the time.
What?
Yeah, we do.
How do you do that?
Well, because we have a really hard problem to work on. We have access to a lot of data, and our team is relatively small when you think about it in the organization. About 2,200 engineers are responsible for a really big piece of the overall pie. And when you think about the impact that you can have on hundreds of millions of customers, I mean, people really want to work on that. We've created a great environment. It's like we literally are kitty corner from YouTube, and we're right in the heart of Silicon Valley. So, people really, once they find out what we're working on, they really enjoy it.
And you pay competitive salaries?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
Companies got a little issue around, paying minimum wage and all that.
You mean $2 billion of investment in wages over the last 2 years? I think something like that.
These people are not getting minimum wage. Safe to say. Okay.
Probably not.
Okay. So how is the group structured? Do you have like small little teams? Do you have, like,
it's a good question.
How often do they all get together? Like what's the?
Yeah, and we did run this like little mini startups, if you will. So when we first kicked off, we called it small dedicated teams, and we had each of them had their own individual mission, and we ran off of it. And it was talking a little bit earlier. We were talking about data and giving access to data. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest things we did initially was take all the e-commerce data and marry that with the offline stores data, and we put it in a big warehouse and let everyone have access to it. And that's actually what made a lot of the early Walmart Labs innovations happen. We built a system called WMX, which for the CPG companies have been just amazing. Whereas you can see your digital advertising on, say you advertise on Forbes.com, and you want to see whether that had a lift in the Walmart sales offline, so not even through .com, and I can show you that directly. And the digital advertisers have been waiting for this kind of capability for a really long time, and given Walmart's market share, we've had the ability to build something like that. And the way that was built, I've told this story a few times, is once we opened the data and people started interacting with it, they said, hey, we could go build this. As a matter of fact, they were across the street at at a bar at one of our Mountain View facilities, and they came back to the office and they coded the first version of it that night. And so building that environment where people have access to data, have all the right tools and the capability and the permission to go do that is what was one of the biggest transformations that we made inside Walmart Labs.
Right. I mean, I've heard from some Google people that they end up, they think it's a cool place to work, and it is, but you go there, then all of a sudden you're working on some little ad targeting thing, and advertising. Who wants to work on advertising?
Nobody wants to work on advertising.
Well, that's not a very interesting problem to solve. Is like, how do I get people to click one more time? I mean, we do that all the time, but
I understand. Yeah. No, to
a computer scientist, it's like,
yeah, I get you.
Advertising, really?
No, and I think our small teams are made up from all kinds of people. You can imagine. As a matter of fact, we were talking about somebody who was teasing me that a data scientist is a statistician that lives in Silicon Valley, right? But each of the teams at this point each of the teams effectively has built-in data science now. When you think about my order management system or the warehouse management system or what decides to allocate inventory across our hundreds of warehouses or which store we should choose from, we have this great system that how do you determine if I order 5 things on the website and it's available to be shipped from 30 different locations, which is the most optimal place to ship it from. And that can be a store, it could be a combination of a warehouse and a store, it could be a dropship vendor, and these types of systems have to be developed not only with this massive complexity, but it has to be lightning fast. I have less than 100 milliseconds to make that decision.
Right.
So people like working on those kind of problems.
The more you're talking about these kinds of solutions and ideas coming out of the data, they all sound like startups. Like these would be things that VCs would fund instantly.
Yes.
So have you thought about creating like a incubator, accelerator?
Somewhat, and we've done a lot of work on, like I said, we have acquired 15 companies, and for various reasons. Sometimes it were talent we really wanted, and sometimes it was technology. We acquired a small company called Inkaru that was essentially a data science platform that lets us take a look at trends and looks for fraud situations and some just from data sources from all over. Super talented team that we were able to bring on, and actually 3 of them are direct reports to me now, the leaders in that organization. We acquired some small mobile companies and started a team up in Portland to help develop our mobile apps, our first generation mobile apps. And people, again, we acquired a small company out of, I think it was New Zealand, maybe it was Australia, that really they originally were reading the printer ticker tape code in order to make a picture-perfect replica of the receipt on a phone. And we acquired that company to help them build the e-receipt capability for us. Okay. So they were really talented and really focused on a very specific part of it. And that team has really about 4 or 5 people.
They're probably from New Zealand.
Yeah, I think it was New Zealand.
Yeah. If they were focused on one little tiny thing. Are there anyone from New Zealand here? Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm a little punchy, and you're taking it very well. Any questions for Jeremy at this point? I've got one, but while you're thinking about it, I'm sure you do. The question for you is like advice to people getting into the cloud for not first time, but as they progress and advance and get more sophisticated, what should they be thinking about?
Well, a couple of the points I made earlier, it's like when you transform into the cloud, your team transforms. It's transformative. It's the way you use services, the way you monitor, the way you allocate funds. I was saying when we first opened our cloud to this elastic cloud, we came back like 2 weeks later and all the compute was gone. We're like, okay, where did it all go? And people hoard, right? They don't understand that it's a world where it's really elastic. And so you really have to change all the engineers' mindsets about how they think about it. And we kind of did this, we call it the wall of shame, but we effectively reversed or sort ordered people's CPU utilization on the cloud, and pretty soon people sort of let the compute go. But it really does change a little bit of everything about the way you do application development and deployments. And it wasn't something we got to start largely from scratch as we built a system called Pangea, which is our next generation web application platform, the e-commerce operating system, as we've called it. As we built that out, we started to be cloud ready and spent about 18 months building that capability before we started building apps on top of it. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Questions?
For the Pangea, your platform, what was the learning lesson? What worked? What didn't work?
Yeah, thanks. It's a good question.
What was the question?
So we built a system called Pangea, which was essentially our own internal name for our platform. The presentation tier took us a while to figure out. We started off, I think a lot of people are using Angular and that sort of thing. We started off with that and had some real hard times with that. And we're just now working with Facebook on React and the React framework. Because as you sort of look at MWeb versus a native app, and you really start struggling. If I'm building an app that's really powerful, you really want native capabilities. And you don't want 5 native teams if you can help it, right? So you'd ideally have something like React come to life. The other thing is that data transformations are really hard. So we had a legacy environment, of course, that we had to transform data from one to another, and we wanted to go completely NoSQL, and making that transition was harder than I expected. I had put my foot down saying we were going to have any SQL databases in our system. I finally gave up after about a year of that crusade. So we have a few, but mostly NoSQL for our transaction environment.
Wow.
Yes.
Mike's coming.
I can hear.
Yeah.
I'll repeat it.
Walmart Pay, was that? Walmart Pay, is that in lieu of other mobile payment systems or in addition to Alipay, Apple Pay, Google Wallet, and so forth?
Yeah, I alluded to it, but Walmart Pay is essentially our interface at the store, and we have connections on the back end. So right now, you can have a stored value gift card, Walmart gift card, and we've integrated it directly with credit card readers, and we've announced that we're going to integrate still with currency and the retailer network piece. I don't think we've announced any other ones, but there's no reason we can't integrate with Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or one of the others. Yes. Right behind you.
Coming. There it is.
Thank you. So one of the biggest decisions I feel CIOs and CTOs have to do when they have a very skilled engineering teams is on many facets, do you build or buy? And you've talked a lot about the stuff you've built and the stuff you've acquired, and it looks like you make that decision like daily. So how do you make those decisions? What's the speculation that comes into play?
It's a really good question, and as a CTO, and you have a team like this, you said they want to build everything, right? As a matter, anyway, I won't get to that. We were talking about building our own. Anyway, I'll skip that. But it's really, to me, it's a time to market thing, right? And somewhat a core competency. We're having this discussion about Splunk and some of the APM, application monitoring programs, and how much of that do we want to own and control, and at our volume of data, do we really want to slice up how much data we're looking at, or we really want the whole thing? But it's not a core competency for us, and there's lots of great startups out there that we can look at, and I can invest my engineering efforts on customer-facing roadmap items and things like Walmart Pay and Savings Catcher and WMX that really make a big difference to the customer. But you're right, it's hard. You have to let a few of those go because you want those talented engineers to work on it, and we do have the discussion every day. But time to market and double anything that people say, right? Because they think it's easy, but it's not, right? It's not straightforward.
Did you hear Lars earlier? He mentioned something could be deployed in a month, and then he said, well, 6 months, well, maybe a year.
Yeah, exactly.
He was getting more and more honest as the clock took on.
Exactly.
Any other questions?
What else?
No. Well, I got to say, I've seen a couple cycles in the Valley, maybe 3, and you see a lot of big companies come and they put up a big building or put a big sign up in Palo Alto, like an innovation center. You saw Nokia did it, Samsung did it, I think AT&T, JetBlue has one now, and a lot of them come and go.
Yeah.
They're like innovation tourists. But so I've got to give you credit give Walmart credit for coming and staying and building and expanding, and it sounds like it's paying dividends to kind of open up a separate.
Yeah, thanks. It really has transformed the way that Walmart thinks about retail and technology. And like I said, our cloud technology stack, for example, that we open source, but our cloud environment we're now using for the entire enterprise. So it's not like it's just an e-commerce play anymore. It doesn't make sense to have 2 cloud management systems. So we worked and interconnected with Azure so that the innovations that are going on in the IT organization can be developed on top of the same cloud platform. We've combined the teams and done all sorts of things that you don't really see. So yeah, we're definitely here to stay, and we're still working on, there's some great stuff coming. So
cool. All right, Jeremy, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.